Within the manga and movie look back, written and created by Tatsuki Fujimoto, you can spot lots of subtle and not so subtle references to his other works. Most notably, there are several nods to Chainsaw Man, ranging from visual Easter eggs to thematic parallels that fans of the series will immediately recognize, whether it's through background details, character design similarities, or the raw emotional storytelling style. Fujimoto's signature creative touch is clearly present. Additionally, audiences may also notice references to Goodbye Eerie, another acclaimed one-shot by Fujimoto, which shares similar motifs of grief and personal expression. These connections create a layered experience for fans, tying together Fujimoto's growing body of work into a cohesive universe of recurring themes and artistic works. The first notable reference appears in the scene where Fujino and Kiyomoto are sitting together in a movie theater, watching a film, in which a man confidently walks away from an explosion. This moment directly mirrors a key visual motif from Tatsuki Fujimoto's earlier one-shot, Goodbye Eerie, where similar explosive imagery is used to blur the line between fiction and reality. The walking away from an explosion trope is commonly seen in action films, but Fujimoto repurposes it in Goodbye Eerie as a symbol of emotional detachment and cinematic dramatization. Interestingly, many viewers might instead associate this scene with the Chainsaw Man anime opening, where the character Power is famously seen striding away from an explosion in slow motion. However, this is a case of visual recursion, Chainsaw Man's opening itself referencing Goodbye Eerie, which predates the anime's release. This intertextual reference reflects Fujimoto's layered storytelling and his fascination with cinematic language, where ideas and visuals repeat across his works in slightly altered, self-aware forms. By including this reference in Look Back, Fujimoto not only nods to his previous work, but also invites the audience to consider how media influences memory, perception, and emotional storytelling. A seemingly small but potentially significant detail, a shot of Kiyomoto posing for a photograph at an aquarium, wearing a shirt with the word cake across the front. On the surface, this might appear to just be a quirky wardrobe choice and a cute slice-of-life moment. However, for readers familiar with Fujimoto's broader body of work, particularly Chainsaw Man Part 2, this image may carry deeper intertextual meaning. After the character Asa Mitaka, who later shares her body with the War Devil, is rescued by Denji, she's seen wearing a nearly identical cake shirt. This visual echo, paired with the aquarium setting, begins to feel less coincidental and more like a deliberate nod. Later in Chainsaw Man, Denji and Asa go on an awkward but emotionally revealing first date, set notably at an aquarium. While these connections might seem minor on their own, Fujimoto is known for planting visual and thematic callbacks across his works. The repetition of the cake shirt and the aquarium not only builds a bridge between the two narratives, but also reinforces shared themes such as awkward human connection and the search for meaning in ordinary experiences. This moment in Look Back may therefore serve as a quiet nod to the reoccurring emotional beats Fujimoto explores in all of his stories, how fragile human bonds can form in the strangest or most mundane context, and how small details like a shirt or a place can become loaded with emotional significance across time and stories. Within the same montage, there's a fleeting yet richly layered image, a brief shot of Kiyomoto flipping through an art book filled with various illustrated backgrounds. While this moment may appear merely atmospheric, to casual viewers, closer inspection reveals that each of the backgrounds shown is a visual callback to settings featured prominently in Fujimoto's other works, namely Chainsaw Man and Fire Punch. From desolate urban ruins to eerily quiet interiors and surreal, dreamlike landscapes, these backgrounds aren't just random aesthetic choices, they are deliberate references that act as visual Easter eggs for attentive fans. In Chainsaw Man, for instance, several of the backgrounds seen in the art book echo key locations. Similarly, backgrounds reminiscent of Fire Punch's icy wastelands and post-apocalyptic cityscapes can also be identified, nodding to the bleak and brutal world that the series inhabits. These references aren't just fan service, they're a quiet celebration of Fujimoto's growing universe, subtly reminding the audience that all these stories, while separate, are interconnected through shared themes, moods, and visual languages. This brief shot of Kiyomoto looking through the book also fits thematically into Look Back's focus on the artistic process process and how artists find inspiration. It implies that Kyomoto, like Fujimoto himself, studies and draws influence from a range of visuals, some from the real world and others from the realm of fiction. The inclusion of these background references is Fujimoto's meta-commentary on how artists are constantly in conversation with their past works, and with the broader language of visual storytelling. It's a quiet yet poignant reminder that every panel, every scene, every background can carry the weight of memory, influence, and meaning. Within the film Look Back, one of the most striking moments of artistic development comes when Fujino is awarded her very own serialized manga. Excited and reinvigorated, she immediately begins working on her new series, titled Shark Kick. For longtime fans of Tatsuki Fujimoto, this title alone is an unmistakable tongue-in-cheek reference to his breakout work, Chainsaw Man. The homage becomes even more explicit when viewers are shown the cover art of Shark Kick, which mirrors the dynamic, chaotic, and gritty design sensibilities seen on the covers of Chainsaw Man volumes, right down to the composition, energy, and attitude of the central character. These aren't mere similarities, they're intentional visual parallels, lovingly placed to echo Fujimoto's own journey as a manga creator. But the references don't stop at the cover art. As Fujino flips through the pages of her own manga, the panel layouts, action choreography, and pacing begin to mirror scenes from the Riz arc in Chainsaw Man, almost one-to-one. This isn't just an Easter egg. Fujimoto is subtly illustrating how creators inevitably pour themselves and their past works into everything they make. Fujino's fictional Shark Kick becomes a symbolic stand-in for Chainsaw Man, blurring the lines between the artist and the character, between the fiction of Look Back and the reality behind its creation. Moreover, Fujino's relentless work ethic is portrayed in painful, honest detail, discarded drafts, and sleep-deprived dazes. These are not generic depictions of hard work. They are drawn with the raw specificity that only someone who has lived through the brutal demands of manga production could convey. Fujimoto's personal experience bleeds into the screen, showing how the creative process is both thrilling and isolating, exhilarating, and exhausting. Parallel to this, we see Kyomoto embark on her own journey through art school, choosing to focus on drawing intricate, isolated doors. To the attentive viewer, this is yet another direct reference to Chainsaw Man, where doors, especially the recurring motif of the mysterious, unopenable door in Denji's mind, symbolize trauma, memory, and the boundaries between self and truth. By giving Kyomoto this specific subject matter, Fujimoto is weaving his recurring symbols across different narratives, reinforcing the idea that each of his stories speaks to and builds upon the others. And then there's the most intimate relation of all, hidden in plain sight, the names of our two protagonists, Fujino and Kyomoto. When combined, they form Fujimoto, the author's own name. This clever merging of identities points directly to the semi-autobiographical nature of Look Back. Much like Kyomoto, Fujimoto himself attended art school. Like Fujino, he experienced early success, burnout, and the ongoing pressure of producing serialized manga. By splitting himself between these two characters, he's able to explore the duality of the artistic spirit clash between solitary drive and collaborative inspiration, between confidence and insecurity, between ambition and loss. Taken as a whole, Look Back revealed itself to be far more than a fictional story about two young artists. It reads and feels like a deeply personal memoir through allegory, metaphor, and self-reference. Fujimoto crafts what may be his most introspective work, one that not only chronicles his own creative journey, but speaks directly to fellow artists, dreamers, and anyone who has wrestled with the burden of self-expression. Look Back is not just a story about making manga. It is a manga about the cost, beauty, and tragedy of creating something meaningful, no matter the cost.